So, on July 6, 2017, a 22-year-old engineer in New York gets fired from Siemens. He does not know how to code. He goes home and starts building something he does not understand. 8 years later, that thing has moved $3 trillion. A Finnish kid drops out of high school at 15. Later, he drops out of law school too. Then he starts a company and names it after the Finnish word for ghost. Today, that ghost holds $27 billion. A Turkish professor at Cornell invents a digital currency in 2003. Proof of work, peer-to-peer, 5 years before Bitcoin, and it fails. 17 years later, he raises $42 million in 4 hours and 33 minutes. Welcome to SEA Daily Buzz. Today, 3 underdogs who lost first and then won everything. New York City, July 6, 2017. Hayden Adams, 22, walks out of the Siemens office for the last time. He had graduated from Stony Brook with a mechanical engineering degree the year before. This was his first real job. Now he was unemployed. He was not a programmer. He had never taken a computer science class. He knew almost no Python. That night, his old college roommate sent him a message. Carl Floersch. Carl worked at the Ethereum Foundation, and his message was essentially, "Congratulations. This is the best thing that could have happened. Do not get another job. Go build something on Ethereum." Then Carl sent him a link to a blog post by Vitalik Buterin, describing an idea called an automated market maker. Instead of buyers and sellers matching in an order book, a simple equation, X times Y equals K, would set the price of every trade against a shared pool. No exchange, no middleman, just math. Hayden did not fully understand it. He started reading and coding, slowly, in a Brooklyn apartment that belonged to his girlfriend's parents, who fed him while he worked. For 3 months, that was his life. Wake up, code, eat food someone else cooked, sleep, repeat. By early 2018, he had a working prototype. He almost called it Unipeg, a unicorn plus a Pegasus. Vitalik saw the name and suggested Uniswap instead. In April 2018, Hayden flew to Seoul for a conference called Deconomy. There, he met Vitalik in person for the first time and demonstrated the prototype. Vitalik was impressed. 4 months later, the Ethereum Foundation awarded him a grant of $65,000. He used it to hire 2 college friends and finish the product. On November 2, 2018, at DevCon 4 in Prague, Uniswap launched publicly. In the first week, total liquidity was under $30,000. Almost nobody paid attention. Most people who did see it called it a curious experiment, not a business, not a threat to any exchange, just a math trick. That math trick kept running, and running, and running. Today, Uniswap has processed more than $3 trillion in cumulative trades. It handles over 60% of decentralized exchange volume on Ethereum, and Uniswap Labs was last valued above $1.7 billion. And in Southeast Asia, in Manila, in Jakarta, in Ho Chi Minh City, young people without bank accounts routinely swap USDC for USDT on Uniswap from their phones. $10, $20. Trades no bank would touch because the minimum balance would eat the whole transaction. All of it running on code written by a guy who got fired 8 years ago and did not know Python. Helsinki, Finland. Stani Kulachov grew up in the Finnish capital. As a kid, he played ice hockey. For 10 years. He got his first computer at 12. He started writing code almost immediately. At 15, 1 year into high school, he did something most parents would call reckless. He dropped out. He wanted to code full-time. Eventually, he came back and finished school. Then he did something stranger. He enrolled in law school at the University of Helsinki. In 2017, halfway through his law degree, he discovered Ethereum and, more specifically, smart contracts. For a law student, this was electric. A smart contract was, in effect, a piece of law that enforces itself. You did not need a court. You did not need a lawyer. The code was the contract, and the contract executed itself. He dropped out of law school, for real this time. That same year, he launched his first crypto project. It was called ETH Lend, a peer-to-peer lending platform. In the ICO boom of 2017, ETH Lend raised $16.2 million. Stani went from Helsinki Law School dropout to funded founder in about 6 months. Then, in 2018, he rebranded ETH Lend into something bigger. He called it Aave, the Finnish word for ghost. The logo became a small, friendly white ghost. In early 2020, Aave version 1 shipped a new idea called flash loans. The concept sounds impossible. Inside a single blockchain transaction, you can borrow millions of dollars, use that money for something, and pay it back, all in the same transaction. If you fail to repay by the end, the entire transaction reverses, as if it never happened. Nothing to seize, nothing to lose. Traditional banking cannot do this. Flash loans exist only because a blockchain lets you group many actions into one atomic step. Traders use them for arbitrage, refinancing, and liquidations. Hackers use them to attack other protocols. Powerful tools cut both ways. Today, Aave holds more than $27 billion in total value deposited. It has originated more than $1 trillion in cumulative loans. It runs on 12 major chains. And earlier this year, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission quietly closed its investigation into Aave with no charges. Stanny posted a two-word reaction on X: time to build. In Indonesia and the Philippines, Aave is quietly one of the highest-yielding places for a small saver to park stablecoins. Local bank deposits pay 1 or 2% per year. A USDC deposit on Aave often pays 3, sometimes 5. Not investment advice, just numbers on a screen. For a ghost, Aave casts a long shadow. Istanbul, 1970s. A boy named Emin Gün Sirer grows up in a Turkish public school. He earns a scholarship to Princeton, moves to the United States, and graduates with a PhD in computer science in 2000. The next year, he joins Cornell as an assistant professor. 2003, 5 years before Bitcoin exists. Sirer and 2 graduate students publish a paper. It describes a system they call Karma, a peer-to-peer digital currency with a distributed mint using proof of work. In other words, nearly every technical concept Satoshi Nakamoto would introduce in the Bitcoin white paper, 5 years early. Karma was designed to solve a different problem. In the era of Napster and LimeWire, people downloaded files but never uploaded. Karma would make them pay a small currency to download and let them earn currency by uploading. The paper was praised in academic circles. It went nowhere commercially. Because it was 2003. September 11th had happened 2 years earlier. The United States was terrified of anything that looked like anonymous money moving between anonymous people. Senior professors sat Sirer down and said gently, "Fascinating work, but do not build your career here. No one will fund it. Regulators will make your life miserable." Sirer listened. He shelved Karma. He moved on. 10 years pass. 2013. Bitcoin is exploding. Sirer, now a tenured professor, looks at it. He respects it, but he sees flaws. With his student, Itai Eyal, he publishes a paper called Majority is Not Enough. It proves that Bitcoin can be attacked not by 51% of miners, as Satoshi assumed, but by only 33%. They call the attack selfish mining. The Bitcoin community erupts. He becomes overnight the man who found the biggest known flaw in Satoshi's design. Then, in May 2018, an anonymous group calling itself Team Rocket publishes a paper on IPFS. It describes a new consensus protocol called Snowflake to Avalanche. Elegant, fast, thousands of transactions per second. Team Rocket, of course, is Sirer and his Cornell doctoral students. The name is a joke. Team Rocket is the villain team in Pokemon. In January 2019, Sirer steps down from his tenured position at Cornell and co-founds Ava Labs with 2 of those students, Kevin Seknicki and Maofan Ted Yin. The following February, they raised $6 million from a 16Z, Polychain, and Balaji Srinivasan personally. Then, on July 15, 2020, they hold a public token sale for Avalanche. They plan for it to last several days. It sells out in 4 hours and 33 minutes. $42 million, in less time than a long lunch. Today, Avalanche processes more than 4,500 transactions per second, approaching the throughput of Visa. Sirer has said more than once that if Karma had succeeded in 2003, Avalanche would never have existed. Turns out being early is sometimes the same as being wrong, until suddenly it isn't. A fired engineer, a Finnish ice hockey kid turned law school dropout, and a Turkish professor who was 5 years too early. 3 people from 3 continents who lost first, publicly, painfully, and then quietly built the rails that Southeast Asia now uses every day, often without knowing whose code is running behind the screen. Almost no one who built modern crypto looked like they were going to. Most of them were nobodies, sitting in borrowed apartments, dropping out of school, or being told by their mentors to give up. And that is maybe the most useful thing to remember about this industry. The next big thing is probably being written right now by someone who just got fired, or just dropped out, or is sitting in a Brooklyn apartment their girlfriend's parents are paying for. Next episode, we go bigger. Not the builders, the betters. A man who publicly burned $1 million to make a point. A journalist who left Bloomberg to chase Vitalik across the world. And a two-person newsletter that sold for 8 figures in 6 months. Crypto's craziest winning bets. That is next time. Drop a like, hit subscribe, multiple subtitle languages are on for our friends across Asia, and we drop new episodes every week. See you next time.